All right. Well, first I want to welcome y'all. For those of you who I have not met, my name is Dr. Albanese, and I'd like to welcome you to our office. Everybody else, welcome back. Today we are going to go through a lot of information, and the topic today is maximizing your health through optimal nutrition and exercise. And the reason why we put this specific topic together is because I've been asked recently by a number of people, probably about a dozen or so folks, hey, can you review my exercise program? Can you review my diet? I'm hitting a plateau, or I'm not getting the results that I want to get out of my diet and exercise. So what can I do? What am I doing wrong, so to speak? So I look at all this information, and my job here is to look for blind spots, look for areas of the diet, areas of the exercise program or their training routine that has a blind spot, and see how can we change that. How can you make small subtle changes to really increase the results that you're looking for. So that's how this whole talk started. It basically is from information that I've gotten from folks, and obviously other people have the same questions. So what we're going to do today is start out by talking about exercise and how you can really maximize the benefits of your exercise program in a very short, condensed period of time. The way I started studying this information was a few years ago when I started reevaluating the way I exercise and my training. And I wanted to see what else could I be doing. I grew up in the 70s, and we lifted weights, and we bought Muscle and Fitness magazine, and we looked at Arnold Schwarzenegger, and that's what we did. Obviously it works, right? But no, thank you for laughing. No, but I started saying, I go to the gym, I do my exercise, but I was getting bored. And back in the early '80s, early '80s, when I was in high school, our wrestling coach introduced us to aerobics. He had an aerobics instructor come and work us out, the wrestling team. We thought, oh, this is awesome. We get this girl coming, she's gonna show us, and it would beat us up. And I started really thinking, wow, this is really cool. When I was in college, I started doing aerobics, and then it was like the next phase of aerobics, the step class, made it more interesting. But I loved moving. I loved my heart rate going up. I love sweating. I love challenging myself in that way. So a few years ago, I said, I'm just getting bored with going to the gym and lifting weights. It's great. It's beneficial. What else can I do? So I started looking at what other options are there? What are people doing? I started studying world-class athletes, Olympic athletes. How do they train? How do they maximize their potential from a fitness standpoint? Because these people have scientists and psychologists and physiologists and all these people around them, because they're looking to gain a tenth of a second, a tenth of a second. So they need to be on track with their training. They're not interested in how many repetitions I'm doing. It's how much more speed can I get? How much higher can I jump? They are looking at minute changes. So I figured if they're training a certain way, looking for those benefits to maximize their potential, I'm going to start training like that. And that's what brought me on this path. So what I'm going to share with you today, you're going to hear some words that are like foreign and new, but don't necessarily get caught up in the words. Understand the principle, what the words represent. We're going to be talking about some things, and I know what goes through people's minds. I don't know if I can do that. How am I going to do that type of exercise? I am going to make it applicable to wherever you are. So please understand that, okay? If you're wearing a headband and wristbands and you're doing aerobics with Jane Fonda on videotape, that's cool. If you're walking, we'll apply it to you. If you're training with weights or going, a cycling class or running, we'll apply it to you. You can apply these principles to anything you're doing. And the great thing is, you work within the realm of what you have available to you, and you work as hard as you can within what you're physically able to do. Okay? So what we're going to be talking about today in terms of exercise is metabolic conditioning. Metabolic conditioning is changing your metabolism. Changing your metabolism and changing the way the cells and tissues within your body respond to exercise. So, we're kind of funneling down all the way to a cellular level. But that's what's important, because that is what changes fitness. That's what changes cardiovascular health. That's what changes body composition. Okay? So metabolic training is simply this. It's a form of, y'all know what metabolism is? Metabolism is how your body converts macronutrients, proteins, carbohydrates and at times or carbohydrates and fats and sometimes proteins into fuel, energy. Okay, that's what metabolism is. There's a certain amount of energy I need right now just to stand here. You're sitting. You need a certain metabolism, right? A certain amount of energy. So we're looking at changing metabolism. That's how you increase fitness. That's how you increase health. Now, metabolic conditioning is simply this. It is a structured way to exercise to reach your specific goals. So if my goal was a bodybuilder or a power lifter, I'm going to do a certain amount of work and then have a certain amount of rest associated with that work. So I'm going to do a couple of repetitions. I'll put the weight down and sit down and recover and then go back and lift again. Right? Has anybody ever worked out with weights? Right? So you do a couple of repetitions, right? And you put the weight down. How long do you rest relative to how long you've just performed that set? 15 seconds? 1 minute? Depends on the weight. Usually, the rest is longer than the exercise, right? We do repetition. We put the weight down. What do? Oh, hey, what's up? How you doing? Good. Yeah. All right, maybe I'll go get a drink real quick, right? Change the weights out, come back, and I'll do another set. Look at myself after that. Right. So the rest period is usually a little bit longer than the work period. And this is a really important concept to understand. Okay. Now, if my goal was to increase my speed, get really lean, get fit, I'm going to work out differently than, say, a bodybuilder or a power lifter. I'm going to work an exertion period of time is going to be a lot different. It's going to be faster. It's going to be quick. And then my rest time is going to be shortened. And then I'm going to go back and work again. Okay. This is called a high intensity interval training. Very important concept to understand. That is a level of exercise, high intensity, whatever that means to you, it's relative. Okay. High intensity, short bursts of very high intensity, and then rest. The rest is going to be half of what the exertion was. Okay. And I'll explain more about this in a minute. And then you go right back into your exercise. So for example, if you're walking, you say, you know what? I walk. Great. So you're going to walk really fast for a period of time and then slow it down and then walk really fast and slow it down. Interval training. Okay. Now, those intervals should be short bursts of high intensity. Again, what that means to you is going to be different for everyone else. All right. But this is the concept I want you to grasp. High intensity interval training is what produces the best results in terms of cardiovascular fitness, body composition changes, and overall health. And you only have to do it for a very short period of time. One form of high-intensity interval training, we call it HIIT, is called Tabata Training. Tabata Training was discovered or founded by Dr. Izumi Tabata. He's a Japanese scientist, and he worked with the National Institute of Fitness and Sports in Tokyo. And their goal was to get their athletes to perform at their maximum potential. You know, this is serious stuff, right? So one of the early studies, I'm just going to share one study with you, just so it proves a point. One of the early studies when they were starting to formulate a plan for this, they took two groups of people. One group exercised for 6 weeks, 5 days a week, 1 hour each day. Okay, so an hour, 5 days a week for 6 weeks. At the end of that 6 weeks, they found their cardiovascular fitness, their aerobic fitness, increased moderately. They found that their anaerobic, their muscle fitness, didn't have any increase. So then they took this other group to perform what they now call Tabata training. Fast, really short bursts of intense exercise and small amounts of rest. These people also exercised for 6 weeks. They only exercised 4 days a week. And instead of an hour, they exercised for 4 minutes, 20 seconds. 4 minutes, 20 seconds. 4 days a week. They found their cardiovascular fitness increased exponentially. They found their strength increased by 28%. 4 minutes. That's not a bad deal, right? So if you can exercise for 4 minutes and 20 seconds a day and get those results, that's not bad. Now let me get into this a little bit more because you might have to do more than 4 minutes. Okay. The average Tabata workout is a work to rest ratio of 20 or 2 to 1, 20 seconds of intense all out exertion with 10 seconds of rest. And you go do different exercises. Okay. The traditional Tabata workout's about eight exercises, and you repeat those exercises. Anywhere between about 15 to 30 minutes. Mary and I work out, and we do, on our long days, we do 38 minutes, 50 seconds. That's our longest workout. During that workout, we're working for 20 seconds, 10 seconds off. We do 26 exercises, and we repeat those exercises 3 times. So it's 78 exercises in 38 minutes and 50 seconds. We are wiped out at the end. On our short days, Wednesday and Thursday, she's mad because we're doing this at lunch today. This is our short day. Right? We do 15 minutes. About 10 exercises, repeat each one 3 times. Right? 15 minutes. Now, what this does, it supercharges your metabolism. Enables you to burn more fat during that short period of time than you can well over an hour of traditional like treadmill, elliptical, definitely way over weight training. You only have to do about a 20-minute workout to have tremendous benefits. Now, let me explain a little bit. I'm going to write this on the board. Instead of having it written out, I'm going to write this in front of you, okay? So I think it'll go over a little bit better. Let me explain a little bit more about the benefits. So, so what I want to do is explain the benefits of this exercise, okay? So this is your metabolism. This is just sitting there resting. You're not doing anything, okay? This is burning glucose, and down here, you're burning fat, okay? So what you're going to do, and this is your level of intensity. Now, when we do a typical weight training workout for, say, 30 minutes, that 150-pound person is going to gain somewhere, or burn somewhere near about 150 calories, okay? So I'll put it up here. For 30 minutes, about 150 calories. You do an hour on a treadmill, and you're going at a pretty good hearty pace. You're going to burn, and we're going to be pretty aggressive, okay? 1 hour, you're going to burn about 400 calories. Now, with just a 20-minute Tabata workout, okay, with obviously high intensity, you're going to burn anywhere between 500 to 700 calories. Okay, so we're just going to say 600. Okay, did I mention 20 minutes? Okay. Now, let me explain a little bit about this. For, say, a weight training workout, if we jump up and we sprint, we do a 100-yard dash, and you stop, and I say, stop. What's going to happen to your breathing and all? What's your body going to be like? Right? Think of that as your recovery. Your body is recovering. You've expended a lot of energy in a short period of time, and your body's going to recover. Have you ever felt that when you're weightlifting? Yeah. But you're a little more intense than that. So you put the weight down. How long does it take you to recover? Maybe 10 seconds or so. How about an hour on a treadmill or an elliptical? Or even boot camp class, or some of the classes you take. How long does it take you to recover from those classes? 4 days. 4 days? Not very long, right? You take intense classes, huh? Yeah. You're not but how long does it really take you to recover? Not long, right? When you come out of the class and you're like, okay, that was awesome. You feel good, but an hour on the treadmill, right? Even if you're going up and down, you're peaking, probably not much. So when you start out exercising and you're doing, say, an hour, you're going to start out down here at rest, right? You get out of treadmill, you start to work. So you're going to use a certain amount of calories, but you're going up and down, but you're pretty much staying at a certain level. 1 hour, okay? In 1 hour, you're going to burn somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 calories, okay? So this is going to be the amount of calories above your resting rate up here that you have to burn or use for your muscles and your heart and lungs respiration, okay? Then you're going to come back down, and you're basically going to be right back to ground zero after you're done with your workout. Maybe a little bit of recovery time, but not much. But now, let's take a look at the Tabata workout. You're going to start same place, ground zero. You're going to work out for 20 minutes and then come down. Okay? 20 minutes, you're going to burn somewhere in the neighborhood of 500-600 calories, right? In the beginning, maybe a little less. But you're going to burn all these calories a lot higher than your resting metabolism, right? But now, here's the benefit of it. How about if I told you for 3-4 days after this workout, you're going to burn an additional conservative 150 calories just by sitting on the couch, just by sitting behind your computer at work. That's not a bad deal, right? 20 minutes, a whole lot more calories, and that's going to continue for a few days. So this is called, well, I'll give you the technical word, excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. Told you I was going to throw words at you. EPOC. We're going to call it afterburn. Sprint for 100 yards. That's about recovery. After you exert that much energy in a short period of time, your body takes time to recover. It's a high-intensity workout. Your body has to push all this lactic acid back out. Your body has to repair and heal all the tissue, repair the muscle, reestablish proper respiration and heart rate. But because this happened very quickly in a high rate of intensity, now you have to go all the way down here to the fat because you have no more glucose left over. You've burned it all. So now you have to go down here to the fat for about 3 or 4 days. So all the calories you're burning now don't come from glucose, they come from fat. So now we're going to add 150 onto that. That's conservative. But now watch this. I'm going to do another workout tomorrow. About 20 minutes. I'm going to do another workout. I'm going to come up, go down. So how many calories am I going to burn down? 150 calories, right? Or 500 or 600 calories. But I'm also burning the 150 from yesterday, right? Now I'm going to work out on the third day, say Wednesday. Work out again, come back around. Now, how many calories am I burning that day? The 600 from my workout, the 150 from Monday, is 3 to 4 days, and 150 from Tuesday. Now I'm up near 1,000 calories. The 300 of it, I'm just hanging around. So now I'm going to do another workout because I really like what's going on, right? Now I'm going to burn 600 calories. I'm going to burn 150 calories, 150 calories, and 150 calories. You start doing that. Maybe every day you're not going to do a 20-minute workout. The way we work out, and we do long workouts on Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that's our 30-minute workouts. On Wednesday and Thursday, we do 15-minute workouts. Monday, we rest. Well, let me show you something else that's pretty cool with these workouts. Y'all follow me on this? Not a bad deal, right? So, heart rate. Why does cardiovascular fitness increase? Well, if this is, again, your baseline, okay, your metabolism, and you're going to have during the Tabata workout 20 seconds, come down for 10 seconds, up for 20 seconds, down for 10 seconds. And you're going to repeat this over and over again during your workout, okay? Now, when you start working, it's going to increase your heart rate. Go sprint for 100 yards, rest for 10 seconds, and sprint again, okay? So now my heart rate is going to go up, and then it's going to come down, but it doesn't have much time to recover. So it's not going to get back down to normal. So what's going to happen? It's going to go up again. But now, it's already elevated. Now I'm pushing it again, so it's going to be even more elevated. Now I'm going to rest for 10 seconds, but it's not going to have much time to go down because now I'm really pumped up, right? So it's going to go up again, go down, up again, down, up again. This is called a cardiovascular shift. Your heart rate stays up higher because of short intervals and the greater exertion. Now, this is the thing. You do this enough, you're retraining your heart and your cardiovascular fitness to be stronger. And that's how you make health goals. And that's why you're burning calories, because now your body has to try and get back down to normal, but it takes a lot more energy because you worked hard. That's how you push your heart muscle to get stronger. That's cardiovascular fitness. See, 20 minutes, a few times a week, 3-4 times a week, can make a tremendous difference in your fitness levels. That's how you increase your health. That's how you produce results. See, some people are doing the same exercises day in and day out. Every year it takes 21 days to create a habit, right? We talk about it with your adjustments. That's why we recommend, about every 3 or 4 weeks to come in for wellness care, maintenance care, right? Because your body will lose track of that time and go back to an old pattern. So same thing with your workouts. How often do you change the exercises and the structure of your workout? At least every 3 weeks. We change them every time. Muscle confusion. It takes about 3 weeks for your body to say, oh, we know what to do. We know we can just kind of coast through it doing this. I've reviewed some workouts that people have been doing for 6, 9, 12 months. Right? Same pattern, same routine. So how much gains have you made? Well, that's what frustrates me. I've been doing this for a year. I'm like, well, no wonder. Your body's like, I know what to do. Right? But if you confuse your muscles and say, oh, this is new, I'm going to react a little differently. Right? So we might do some of the same exercises, but I'll change the order and I'll always add new ones. So this is the type of workout that without a doubt will produce the best health benefits. Now, how do you do this and apply it to what you're doing? Well, if you're a walker, 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest. I have all this information, the apps and the resources for you I'm going to share with you. This is what I use for my Tabata workouts. I have a little speaker and all in the garage and we play it, but this keeps track of my time. So 3, 2, 1, go. We start working. So if you're walking, you're going to elevate your pace. You're going to increase your pace, elevate your heart rate, right? So if you're walking, you can do this. If you're running, you can do this. I utilize the same concept on my speed days, on my run days that I'm going for shorter distances. I'll warm up for half a mile, for 2 miles. Rest, right? Now you have 10 seconds to tell you to do it again. I have the app here. So I'll do it when I'm running from this phone pole to that phone pole. I'm going to be all out sprinting. Now, from the next phone pole, I'm going to take it down to go to a really brisk run. Then I'm going to sprint again. Then I'm going to run, sprint, run. Same concept when you're walking. If you're a cycler, you do the same thing, right? Best thing to do when you're cycling, riding a bike is get the clips or the little things that you put your feet in, right? So you're pushing and pulling up, and you go all out bursts, 20 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 10 seconds. I was talking to a fella today, a month ago, right? He came in, he goes, man, I'm bored with my workout. Anything you can tell me? I said, yeah, let me give you a website. I said, how long you work out typically? Oh, about an hour. I said, awesome. I said, go to this website, do this workout. It'll take you 15 minutes. Seriously, what do I do for the other amount of time? I go, pick yourself up off the floor. I said, do it for 15 minutes, right? He came back today. I go, hey, how's that 15-minute workout? He goes, that lady's a beast. Holy cow, that killed. It doesn't take a lot, right? If you're a weightlifter, how do you apply this principle to weightlifting? Same thing. But now you want to set up different exercises, right? So you go from one exercise, 20 seconds, you put it down, and you go over 10 seconds, you pick up the weight, and you do another exercise. It's called circuit training, right? Sometimes it's not as easy at the gym because there's other people, but you can do it. I've done it. It's not a big deal. Or you do compound movements, compound exercises, right? So if you're going to do a squat, when you come up, you do a press. Or if you're going to do a lunge, you come up and you do a curl. compound movements. You're doing 2 exercises in one exercise, in one motion, right? That's another way to get your heart rate up. See, when you're on a treadmill, what are you moving? Your legs, right? And I see so many people doing this. They're holding their body up, so their legs are kind of just doing this, right? Right? I've seen people doing that. If you ever go, right, you watch people. But even on an elliptical, you're moving your arms and your legs. The more you move your entire body, your total body, the more you're going to burn, the more benefit there is. There's only so much benefit from you moving your legs, not knocking the treadmill, but there's only so much benefit to it because you're only moving a very small part of your body. Right? The more you produce global motion, your whole body moving, now there's a greater benefit, and your whole body has to work. So now there's more energy required to move all these muscles instead of just my legs. Right? Sometime on a treadmill, you move your arm, right? But think about it, the more you move, the more energy is required. So the more work has to be done. See, that's why a global exercise is much better than just one motion, one movement. But if you're weightlifting, the same thing. You do a set, and understand it's not a rest. It's just movement to another exercise. We set up a whole. Now I'm going to put on YouTube, starting to tape our exercises to give you all an opportunity to watch, and you can apply the exercise that we do to your workout. Maybe you don't have a kettlebell, but you have a dumbbell, right? Maybe you don't have a TRX straps, but you can use, the bands. You can use bands and things like that. So I go through this all before the workout and say, okay, if we're doing this, you can apply it like this. Instead of doing a plank, you can put your knees down and do a plank like that, a modified plank. So I'm going to go through that to give you guys, an idea of what you can do. But you can apply this principle to any type of exercise you do, and it will have a dramatic impact on your fitness, on your cardiovascular health, and your body composition. It will help to change you, without a doubt. I use this app. It's a great app. You can change the number of exercises, the number of times you do the exercises, the rounds. Now, in the beginning, you might say, well, 10 seconds I need a little bit more time than that. So adjust it. Work for 15 seconds, rest for 15 seconds. Work for 20 seconds, rest for 20 seconds. But ultimately, you want to have more of a ratio of more work, less rest, right? But in the beginning, you might have to modify it a little bit, and that's cool, right? It's not like perfection. This is a journey to get to where you want to go. So if you modify a little bit, that's great. In the beginning, we were resting for 12 seconds, and now we're down to 10 seconds. Sounds like 2 seconds. It makes a big difference, right? We've increased our workout sometimes. We'll get there, and I'll say, okay, instead of 20, we're doing 25 seconds. Oh, you're kidding. 5 seconds, or at the end, I'll say, all right, come on, we're going for a run. And we do sprints and all different stuff while we're running, right? But there are ways to incorporate this into your workout very effectively, very easily. Doesn't take a lot of time. You don't have to travel and then work out for an hour. I mean, I talk to people and they're doing, an hour and a half of cardio on a treadmill, and they're doing this and that, which is great, but most people don't have a lot of time, and you're going to get bored of that. You're going to get burnt out. So if you can do things for 20, 30 minutes, man, that's doable. On a slow day, 15 minutes. 15 minutes. That's, hey, you go jump in the shower. I'm going to do a quick workout, and then I'll jump in the shower and we'll be ready for dinner. That's 15 minutes, right? That's not a lot of time. And for these workouts, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of different websites, and there's 4 of them. And, you go there, this is all free, right? So you go to YouTube with the same websites, just type in the name instead of a website, right? And there's hundreds of not exercise, but workouts, routines that you can do. You don't need, pretty much for most of these, you don't need anything. Some of them you need dumbbells. Some of them you might need, a little box or a chair or something like that. But other than that, and if you don't have that stuff, that's cool. You can do it right on the floor. So there's really no excuse. See, everybody wants a goal, but you have to do something to get that goal. Because this is great information, but if it's not applied, then it's not going to produce any result. So the exercises that we have, Well, we have different resources that you can go to get exercise. What I do is I go to the websites and I pull different exercises and I put together my own routine based on the equipment I have and what we want to do that day. Now, if you're working out in the gym and you want to do weight training, you want to always do what's called opposing muscle groups. So if you're going from one exercise to another, so when you're working your chest, you're also working your shoulders and your triceps. So you don't want to go from a chest press to a tricep exercise. You want to go to an opposing muscle group, a bicep curl, because you're not using biceps when you do chest. And then you go to a back exercise where now you're using your biceps, but now your tricep or your shoulder, and then you go to a shoulder exercise. So, and I have that all here. So you want to vary up how you're going about your exercises. And you can do that with dumbbells. You don't need to go to a gym. Okay? So any questions with that? The concept to understand is high bursts of energy, short period of time. I'm going to benefit that day and for the next 3 or 4 days. And you will absolutely, if you're pushing yourself, you will have amazing results in short periods of time. So any questions with that? So we talked a lot about energy and exercise, and now let's talk about how you get energy, where that comes from. And what, for those of you who have been to our nutritional talks before, we've done a number of them. They're also resourced here in the sheet I'm going to give you, because I go through a lot of detail about putting together, a meal plan, shopping in a store. What do I look for? Today, I'm going to focus on things that are very applicable to exercise. What are things that will, based on the questions I have, help you get through a plateau, help you lose that last 5 or 10 pounds, help you maintain the weight you're at? Okay, help you maximize your exercise. Because when you exercise, everybody's concerned about what you eat after you exercise. I'm more concerned about what I eat the night before, so in the morning, my body's ready to roll. And then the recovery meal is also very important. So that's where I'm going with this part of it. So first I want to talk about some of the blind spots, some of the pitfalls in people's diets that can really sabotage all the exercise. So when you look at the typical American diet, 60% of the diet is based on processed foods, box, can, or bag, okay? 24% grains. Of all those foods, 18% is all sugar. So let's just translate grains, sugar, to fat, okay? So we're going to start talking about grains. And actually, I'm going to draw this up here. I'm having fun with this. All right. This is kind of how I work at my house. I don't know. Absolutely. When I leave, I blame the kids. All right, you're going to go here, you're going to do laundry, you're going to do homework over here, you're not going to be together, you're going to be separate. Very important one. That's how it works. All right, so grains, okay? Because such a huge part of our diet, and if you look at where we get information from, like this is the food pyramid. The base, the foundation of the food pyramid is what? Grains, pasta, cereals, rices, right? They suggest 6 to 11 servings of grains a day. Okay? Now keep that in mind. Now, when we work our way up to the smallest bit of the pyramid, this is a food pyramid. This is our recommendations for how we should eat. The top of the food pyramid, fats, oils, and sweets. Like, did someone make a typo and put sweets in there? Like, how is that even in a food pyramid? But the smallest part are fats and oils. We're going to actually reverse that. Well, we're going to take this out. But let me explain about grains. So grains, things like wheat, barley, oats, cornmeal, things like this. These are all grains. Okay, the number one is going to be wheat. All right. So if you look at a grain, okay, this is a whole grain. Now, out here we have what's called the bran. For the most part, that's the fiber. In here is the germ. For the most part, that's going to be your protein, your nutrients. And all in here is the endosperm. That's the starchy part. Sugar. Okay. Now, when we refine grains, we take away this, and we take away that. What's left? Sugar. So when you see refined grain on a label, translate that to fat. No, we're going past sugar. We're going right to fat. Okay? That's why grains are not healthy for us. Refined grains. Now, if you look at a box, a bag, okay, or a can, and it says refined grains or just grains, wheat, on the side of it somewhere it's going to say fortified with vitamin B, calcium, magnesium, iron, zinc. You'll find the same things, vitamin D. Why is that? Well, we're going to talk about wheat. Wheat has a couple different things in there. It has a protein called gluten. Okay, we hear a lot about gluten, but what is it really? Gliadin and gluten, and we're just gonna keep it simple, say gluten. Gluten is what's called an anti-nutrient. Anti is against. Okay, it stops the body's ability to absorb vitamin B and biotin. You can't use it. That's why it has to be fortified with vitamin B and biotin. It's also called, it also causes something called intestinal permeability. Have you ever heard of IBS, colitis, diverticulitis, any one of these GI conditions that didn't exist 20 years ago, that suddenly just exist, right? Anti-nutrient. So you're going to eat food, it's going to go all the way down to your intestines. It's going to go down to your fat intestines, get broken down into minute little particles. It's going to go through, it's going to permeate the intestinal wall, go into the bloodstream, and it's going to travel to every part of your body. Your heart, lungs, stomach, big toe, all going to be made up of those cells and tissues that just entered the bloodstream. Okay. Now, intestinal permeability. When you're eating wheat, it causes intestinal permeability. The food doesn't get broken down as well because we're not meant to eat it. We don't have the devices inside to break it down. So now bigger particles permeate the intestines, get in the blood, and it goes to the heart, the lungs, the big toe. Now your body says, well, what in the world are these pieces of food? Right? What is this? A foreign being. So we're going to attack it. Now you're attacking yourself. That's also called an autoimmune response. That causes inflammation, intestinal permeability. Go to our GMO workshop. You'll learn much more about this with GMO foods. You know, peanut butter. I ate peanut butter all the time growing up. Now, my kids are frisked when they go in the cafeteria at school if they have peanut butter, right? They can't eat it. What's the difference with people, right? It's the way the food is made, but it also causes an allergic reaction to our own body because our body is now made up of those food particles. It starts to attack itself, right? Now, also contains something called phytic acid. Phytase is an enzyme that we do not produce that breaks down phytic acid. So picture this, you go to a party. It's your party, so you're there. Everybody else comes to your party. Okay. And there's somebody there that's really annoying. You didn't invite him, shouldn't be there, but now he's hanging out talking to your friends. And he's getting all chummy with them. So now you go over and talk to your friends. They don't want to have anything to do with you. They're on his side now, right? They're chummy with him. You can't even get to your friends anymore. They're like, what in the world? What the heck is going on? But you can't kick them out. They stay there. So what do? I'm from Jersey, so I got things I do. But anyway. But that's what phytase does. Phytase is also an anti-nutrient. It hangs out with calcium, magnesium, zinc, iron. And it makes those minerals, we're not able to utilize them. It blocks the absorption of them. Fortified with calcium, magnesium, zinc, iron. When you see that in a box, you're like, oh, that's great. It's got all these minerals in it. That's because you can't utilize the minerals that are in food. So it has to be added to it. There was no mistake when we were made and food was made. If we just eat what was given to us, right? You ever notice now a lot of people are taking a lot of vitamin D? Have you heard? Right? Doctors are prescribing vitamin D like thousands of milligrams. Is the sun different? No. Why are all these people taking vitamin D? Go outside, hang out on the grass for like a half hour, you're good. Right? Get it from your diet. Why is that? Phytic acid also blocks the absorption of vitamin D. See, when you start understanding, why is it this is happening? Why is that everyone's taking vitamin D? Start asking better questions, right? Why is that? Don't we want to look at why this is happening? Well, look at our food, or what's considered food, right? It blocks the absorption of vitamin D. So instead of giving everyone vitamin D, just tell them, hey, flip this around and eat from the bottom and go to the top, right? So this is something that can sabotage your ability to be healthy, but also to benefit from your exercise. Because everybody wants, hey, I want to look good, I want to feel good, I want to be energetic. This is what causes a problem with that. Because what happens to wheat? It gets broken down to sugar. Not only does it cause improper absorption of minerals and vitamins, causes problems with our own immune system, but it also gets broken down to sugar. Now, what happens here? Well, when it gets broken down to sugar, about 98% of that is converted and stored as saturated fat. We only need sugar's good, right? Sugar is this, when you look at why we do the things we do, how we're designed genetically, right? Based on like 40,000 years ago. So sugar is good. Sugar is a real fast fuel, right? Fight or flight response, we need sugar. We're not going to wait to burn fat if there's a tiger looking at us, right? Fight or flight response, I'm going to fight or I'm going to flight. But after that's done, I'm good. So I only need a little bit of sugar. You only need about a teaspoon of sugar traveling through your blood at any one time, because boom, you're going to get it real quick. You don't need a lot of it. The average person has 53 teaspoons of sugar traveling through their blood. 5 pounds every 10 days, right? This causes major problems because what happens? Number one, when you have a lot of insulin that's secreted. Now, insulin too, because of our lifestyle changes, now a major job of insulin is capturing all the sugar, right? But that's not the major job of insulin. Insulin has many jobs. That's like a minute one because we're not made to eat all the sugar, right? Not refined sugar. So now we have increases in insulin secretion. And when insulin increases, and it's constantly increased, it's like telling your kids, pick up your shoes, pick up your clothes, do your homework, go to bed. After a while, they don't even hear you. They're just, right, they don't even hear you anymore. They become resistant to what you say. Well, that's the same thing. Your body becomes resistant to insulin. And finally it says, oh, heck, we're not even going to, somebody's calling that there's a fire again. Don't even go, false alarm. Insulin doesn't do its job. Now we have more sugar in the blood. More sugar in the blood. You know what happens when insulin resistance comes about? Well, diabetes. But what we do is more fat. We decrease the breakdown of fat and the utilization of fat. Right? There's a direct effect there. So as you're eating more sugar, what happens is, well, it produces a lot of problems. First of all, it changes the entire environment of your body, become more acidic. Okay, we should be slightly alkaline, pH, right? Acidity brings about inflammation. We all hear inflammation is not good, right? Well, acid in the body produces more inflammation. The perfect environment for when you're acidic, for cancer, yeast, viruses, bacteria to grow. It's a great environment. It's like a bed of weeds. And then the more sugar we eat, you know what the ideal food source of cancer is? Sugar. So now we have a great environment for that. See, if we change our diet, change our physiology, there's cancer cells all around us. But if it's not the right environment, it's not going to grow. We can certainly minimize the effect of that. Right? So sugar causes a lot of health problems. Now, we're told to, have you ever heard of glycemic index? Right? A lot of diets use this as a means to educate you about sugar and food. And it's a good resource, glycemic index. But there are pitfalls to it. See, we use glycemic index because it's kind of a sexy word, right? It sells. And it gets very confusing when you use glycemic index because you're like, what do I eat? Glycemic index goes from 0 to 100. 100 is pure sugar. So let me give you an example. Based on these foods and their glycemic index, you tell me if you would eat them. Wait until we're done. White rice, 90. Bagels, 93. Mangoes, 75. Strawberries, 45. Pear, 50. I'm sorry, 55. Oranges, just over 50. Would you eat those foods? Only the last three. But if you're going by glycemic index, would any of those seem really low? I mean, they're all around 50 all the way up. Yeah, maybe strawberries. But now, glycemic index is how fast carbohydrate turns to sugar. So we were seeing pretty quickly, these foods are turning into sugar. Let me show you something else called glycemic load. White rice, 45. Bagel, just at 50. A mango, 7. Strawberry, 3. A pear, 4. Glycemic load is how fast that sugar or that starch increases blood sugar. See, we look at sugar and we say, well, universally, sugar is going to increase blood sugar. Well, it does, but at different rates. Would you be worried about eating a strawberry, a mango, or pear if it's less than 5? No, right? Because it takes so long to break it down. Why? Because it has fiber, and it takes a long time to break down that fiber. So it's not going to cause a spike in your blood glucose levels, but the other foods will. But see, we're sold on glycemic index because it can be confusing. So now we want to sell you, this is our plan, or this is our food. It's very simple. You can Google it, glycemic load. I don't worry about eating fruits. Fruits don't cause blood glucose levels to spike. They don't cause you to be hyperactive. They hydrate you and give you important vitamins, minerals, right? And it takes a long time for them to affect your blood glucose levels. So it's healthy. But it's the food that we're not meant to eat that's designed to get us addictive. It's like, how many apples can you eat at one sitting? 1, maybe 2, right? Your body's designed to shut off. And I'm going to explain why in a second. This is one of the biggest pitfalls of diets or maintaining weight. So let me just talk real quickly. Your brain produces its own insulin. So if there's constantly glucose, and insulin does a lot of things, right? A lot of hormone balances, things like this. But if it's constantly inundated with sugar and says, oh man, I get off task and I have to deal with sugar again. I get off that task and I deal with sugar. Finally, you become insulin resistant. Your brain then doesn't get all the glucose it needs, right? There's more sugar now traveling around the blood. Some of the most recent studies are showing insulin levels and Alzheimer's and some of the correlations. Because when the brain doesn't have the fuel it needs, it atrophies, slows down, is not stimulated. And it also causes a decreased breakdown of fat. So sugar just causes a lot of problems, and that's one of the biggest pitfalls with maintaining weight, losing weight, but it's also understanding where sugar is in the ingredients, because it might have wheat, it might have barley, and that's sugar, right? Now, protein. We talk in terms of low fat, low carbohydrates, moderate protein. Protein is very important. Protein should be eaten first thing in the morning, right? We should be eating a lot of protein, not a lot, but a healthy amount of protein, and I'm going to give you portion sizes, first thing in the morning, because it takes a lot of energy to break that down. We should be eating saturated fats first thing in the morning. It takes a lot of energy to break it down. So you're resetting your metabolism, but you're also going to be full for a longer period of time. You're not going to have spikes. Say, oh, I'm hungry again, right? If we really starchy carbohydrates, you're not going to get much from it, and you're going to be hungry in a few minutes. But when you're eating really good, dense protein, it takes a while for your body to break that down. But it also gives you the ability to break it down and burn more energy, burn more calories to break down the protein. Now, oftentimes we hear about protein and we think, well, cholesterol and stuff like this, right? So you ever hear shark attacks increase when ice cream increases, ice cream sales increase? Have you ever heard of that? Yeah, shark attacks increase when, I just go off on a tangent, break things up. Shark attacks increase when ice cream sales go up. Now, when do ice cream sales go up?
Summertime.
In the summertime. More people at the beach?
Yeah.
Yeah, more people in the water?
Yeah.
Yeah, more food for the sharks? Yeah. But see, that's the way we look at cholesterol. See, we all of a sudden correlate shark attacks with the ice cream because they both go up. Years ago, we saw a lot of these heart attacks and cholesterol problems are related to saturated fats. Why? Well, there's saturated fat in the body, so there must be a correlation. So we just stop there. It's kind of like glycemic index. We'll just stop there. But let's take it a step further. If you really research it, it's not the saturated fat. I mean, Eskimos have a 97% saturated fat rate within their diet. Until they met us, they didn't have a history of heart attacks. They didn't have a history of heart disease or cholesterol. Right? They're eating salmon, walruses, sharks, whales, blubber, but they don't have any heart attacks. Right? Now, I forget what I was talking about a second ago, but I'm going to finish up with what I think I was talking about. Now, when you look at cholesterol, so when they looked at cholesterol and heart attacks, they saw a correlation, just like ice cream and shark attacks. But it's what's in the cholesterol. Palmitic acid. Palmitic acid is what causes bad news with saturated fats. Okay? That's what causes cholesterol problems. That's what causes heart attacks. It's not saturated fats. You can tell me an avocado and salmon are going to cause me to get high cholesterol and a heart attack? I'll bet every day I won't get that, right? It's the type of saturated fats. But now watch this. What do you think starches break down to? Palmitic acid. The more starches you eat, the greater chance you're going to have high cholesterol and heart disease. You don't even have to eat meat. I talk to so many people and they say, man, well, put it this way. You know anybody that's gone to the doctor and say, hey, you have high cholesterol, cut down on the meats. You cut down on the meats, does your cholesterol change? Typically, it doesn't change that much because usually that's not the problem. Now, the type of meat you eat is going to be a real issue, and I'll talk about that in a second. But it's the starches because that's converted right into a saturated fat through a chain of events. Now, when we're eating protein, omega-6 and omega-3s, real important to be aware of that. They're all important, they're all necessary, and they're all healthy in the right ratio. Omega-3s, we want to eat omega-3 fatty acids. We want to eat omega-6s in about a 2-to-1 ratio. So if you're eating meat that is grass-fed 100% of its life, that ratio is going to be intact. But if you're eating meat that's not grass-fed, it could be as high as 15 to 20 to 1. Now you have an improper amount of omega-6s. I don't want to say bad because it's not bad. Now you have an improper ratio. That's when you have to worry about cholesterol and heart disease. Okay, so your food source, okay, look at what that food source ate because that's real important. That's the only time you have to worry about cholesterol. Whole Foods does a great job of labeling 1, 2, 3, 4 on all their meats. 1, it's been grass-fed for 25% of its life. 2, 50%. 3, 3/4. 4, its whole life. And it doesn't have to cost you more if you look for it in the store, bar none. If it says grass-fed, it could be grass-fed for like 3 days. So you have to be educated about this. I talk about it in Creating My Perfect Plate, the video we did. Okay, but you need protein in your diet. You need a healthy amount of protein on a regular basis in your diet. We also need fats. We need a lot of fats. Fats are healthy for you. I eat a tremendous amount of fat. I cook with coconut oil. Stop using olive oil, use coconut oil. Shouldn't be heating up olive oil anyway. But coconut oil, saturated fats, it gets in my eggs, it gets in my fish. Oh man, it tastes great. But it's also giving me a lot of fat, and it's going to enable me to take more time to break it down. I eat an avocado in the morning. I eat at lunch. I split 1 at lunch and half at dinner, right? I'm eating saturated fat all day because it's healthy for you and it takes a lot more time to break it down, a lot more energy. You're burning more calories to break it down. You eat more fat in your diet, you watch the way your physiology changes. Add more protein, healthy protein in your diet, you watch how your physiology changes. You cut out the grains and the cans and the boxes, you watch how your physiology changes. Now, why do I go through all this? Because we're designed to eat fresh fruits, vegetables, healthy lean protein, and healthy fats. All of those things we are equipped to deal with. We are equipped to eat and manage. You eat there's a bowl of apples here. How many can you eat? 1, maybe 2, right? Then you're going to stop. You're not going to eat anymore. But if you had a bag of chips or a box of cookies, how many would you eat? You keep going, right? The food is designed that way. It causes disruption in your brain's ability to shut off. See, healthy proteins, healthy fats, healthy vegetables and fruits stimulate something called leptin. Leptin and Ghrelin. Leptin it's produced in your stomach, okay? And when fat stores are high, leptin levels increase, your brain says, shut off the food source. We don't need to eat anymore. When fat stores are high, Ghrelin decreases, your brain says, shut off the food source. We don't want to eat anymore. It's your body's way of regulating itself. That's why you eat an apple, you're like, I'm not really craving another apple. You eat a healthy grass-fed steak, right? You're going to eat it, or a big salad. You're like, I want like 3 more salads. No, you probably eat 1, maybe 2. Then you're just kind of done. You're like, I'm done. But you can eat the box of cookies because it doesn't stimulate leptin and Ghrelin. This is one of the main reasons why people that go on diets and then go off the diet gain more weight back, because you're leptin resistant at that point, just like insulin resistant. When insulin levels are increased, when there's more sugar in the blood, insulin levels increase, what happens to leptin? Decreases. We become resistant to it. So we eat more when we go off the diet because our brain doesn't tell you to stop eating. Chemical balance is out of balance. It's out of whack. Leptin and ghrelin, if you understand what we've talked about today in terms of sugar, grains, wheat, and leptin, and you apply that to your diet, you will see tremendous differences in your health. Leptin is something most people don't know much about, but it's very important because leptin is what regulates appetite suppression, and ghrelin. It's what regulates your body's, your brain's message to you telling you eat or stop. So when you're eating foods that are congruent with what we're designed to eat, your body will regulate itself properly. You will not overeat, right? And you're not eating food that is going to cause a problem health-wise. But it's when we're eating food that we're not designed to eat, our chemical balance inside is off, our body doesn't know to stop, we keep eating. That's why these foods, an apple, you can only eat so many apples because your body says, hey, we got all we need from that apple, I'm done. But because a box of chips or a bag of chips is so nutrient depleted, you're never going to eat enough to get the nutrients your body needs to survive. So you keep eating and eating and eating. Now, your body doesn't tell you, your brain doesn't tell you to stop, but you're also so deprived of nutrients, you have to eat so much of that to get a little bit. I eat an apple, I'm getting an apple. Well, the vitamins and minerals in that apple doesn't have to be fortified with anything, right? So this is one of the big pitfalls in diet. You look at low fat, no fat, that has been now chemically changed to make it taste a certain way, right? They have to add things in it. When you look at labels, 12% of our daily caloric intake is high fructose corn syrup. That does not regulate leptin. So you're going to see no fat. You're going to say, that's great. I'm going to eat it. But then look for high fructose corn syrup or just corn syrup or fructose. It's got like 25 different names, right? That is going to be all sugar, even more sugar than just sugar. So low fat, no fat. Just buy healthy fruits and vegetables, healthy proteins, healthy fats. That's all you really need. You have all these spices and herbs. That's what you put in your food to make it taste better. You don't need to put dyes and coloring agents and preservatives in it. Why do I want to preserve it? If it's going bad and I just can't see it, why do I want to make it seem like it's safe? Okay, if it's brown, I want to see it's brown, I'll throw it away. Or eat it before it turns brown. Don't inject it with a color to make it red for longer, because that's what they do to food. I was really proud. Costco just said, all right, we're not putting dyes in our fish anymore. They dyed the salmon red to make it look really good and appetizing. Who knows how long it's been sitting there? It's probably purple, right? But they put red dye in it to make it look good, right? That's a fish you don't want to eat. But now they've changed that. Watch our GMO talk. So regulating the leptin and ghrelin in your diet is very important, and that's regulated by what foods you eat. So if you're eating fresh fruits and vegetables, first thing in the morning, you want to eat a good amount of protein. Stay away from the starches, the grains, the wheats, right? Good amount of protein, healthy fats. I eat eggs every day. I don't worry about the cholesterol because they're grass-fed, right? Cook them in saturated fat, and I add avocado to my breakfast. I juice my drink, right? Then during the day, eventually I'm hungry. A great source of good protein is whey protein. Whey protein will get in your muscles about 15, 20 minutes after you drink it. So if you're looking for a snack or extra protein, whey protein is one of the best choices. Now you only need about a half a gram of protein for every pound that you weigh. So if you weigh 100 pounds, you need 50 grams of protein. You don't need a lot of protein, right? We overeat protein, especially guys, and women overeat carbs. I don't know why. Mars and Venus, right? But we don't need a lot of protein. A great way, I didn't put it on here, is MyFitnessPal. If you really want to look and see what am I eating, where am I, MyFitnessPal does a great job. It's a free app. And you put it on your phone, it'll track your caloric intake of protein, carbs, fats, right? It won't tell you good fats, bad fats, but it'll tell you fats and protein. That's a great way to track where am I really? Let me see it, right? Now I'm going to give you a handout, and this comes from a book, and it's Whole30. It's a whole program. I mean, it's a great book. It's very consistent with like a paleo diet, right? Which is just basically fruits and vegetables, healthy lean proteins and fats. Whole30, I like this their website because they have great resources for you. And I put all the downloads on there, but it talks about very easy way to determine portion sizes. You use your own hand. Okay, ladies, you can't use your husband's hand, especially if he's 6'5". Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to pick on you. But so your palm, 1 or 2 palms for protein. Very simple. Vegetables should comprise 2/3 of your plate. So this is an easy way to look at portions. You don't have to buy things. You don't have to count calories or count numbers, right? It's right here. And that's based on you, right? Talks about meals, pre-workout, post-workout meals, has great shopping lists. So if you're wondering, well, what do I buy? This is a great resource. Print it up. Do I buy these foods? Oh, let me try them. I don't know what they taste like. Let me just give it a shot. Buy a couple different items every week. What kind of fats? What should I keep in my pantry? Right? Like I make these great muffins for my kids out of almond flour. Oh, it's great. Put a bunch of eggs in there, a few bananas. Great. You want to have breakfast? Go ahead. Right? Really good. Now I put some chocolate chips in there because I got it. It's like, got to entice them to eat, right? But again, here are some really helpful hints. What kind of oils? When to use the oils? So I love the book. They have some great recipes as well. But this is a great resource. You go to their website and you print it all out. And that gives you an opportunity to have something to say, okay, here's my plan. Here's our shopping list. What do I make with this? And I gave you 4 different websites for recipes. You can buy books and stuff like that, but this is all free. I want to give you free stuff so you can go and say, all right, I want to make it easy. Go to the website. For the muffins, I just Googled paleo protein muffins. Boom, I got 48 of them. So I'm good for the whole year, right? One Google. So, but these will give you, these resources will enable you to put this into practice. This is kind of a top level discussion of nutrition. The other talks I go into a lot of detail about putting together meals and stuff. I wanted to talk about some key elements that will help you in terms of exercise and fitness and some of the blind spots that you might not have recognized. Okay. So on the way out, grab these, this sheet here and has all these resources. It also has resources for exercises. The first one, Zuka Light, it's a great, awesome website. This is the one that will kick your butt without a doubt. Okay? You think you're in good shape or like, yeah, it's not going to bother me. Do a 15-minute workout. Okay? But it's a great resource. I use that all the time to pick out exercises and things like that. Great source of nutritional information. She's just right on. She's very congruent with what we're talking about.
What kind of grains can we have? If you take wheat away.
You don't need them. None.
How about quinoa?
Yeah, but it's not a true grain. It's like sprouted bread, Ezekiel bread, stuff like that. It's still going to have gluten in it. It's still going to have all the other things, but a lesser amount. Healthier choice. Quinoa, same thing. Yeah. See, again, what do you eat for lunch? Well, I have a sandwich. Well, if I can't have that, what do I have? Right? But see, we're not designed to eat all that bread. It's just going to increase your blood glucose. It's not going to enable you to burn fat. It's going to throw your whole body off. I just make more for dinner so that then the next day I have lunch. Like that's, for me, that works. I make a bunch of vegetables. I make a bunch of salmon or chicken and I have extra. I cut it up for the kids, put it in their lunchbox, cut it up for me, take it away. I add an avocado, some sweet potato, put it all in there. I'm good to go. It takes no time and I'm just overcooking or cooking more for dinner than we would eat. But everybody's taken care of for the next day or two. I buy this one, what is it called? Rotisserie chicken at Whole Foods, right? For the kids. They love it. I just carve a little bit off, put it in their lunch thing. That's their lunch. They ask me for it all the time. I'm like, don't you guys want anything different? No, I'll have that. Okay. It's grass fed. It's healthy for them. It cost me $8 for the entire week of lunches for my kids. It usually lasts like a week and a half. So, you can make it easy, right? So hopefully this gives you a little bit of insight into exercise and nutrition in terms of putting together a healthy plan for fitness and health. We have these resources here. If you have any questions, let me know. And, we'll be putting our exercise. I'm not doing it for any other reason but to show you what you can do. right? And then how you can apply it to what you're doing. 30 minutes. Doesn't take a lot of time, but I want to show you, hey, what does this look like in actuality? What does it look like practically? You know, these are websites I go to. Is this really what they do? This is what we're doing. Mary can do a push-up when she started working out. And I don't mean that negatively, but she couldn't do a push-up last October. Now she's doing plank push-ups on a ball, rolling a ball and doing push-ups on it. I mean, we're doing, she couldn't even, we have a plyo box. I have a plyo box that's 2 feet. We're jumping up on the plyo box and down and up and down. She could hardly do that in the beginning. We would step up on 18 inches. Now we're jumping on 2 feet. You know, I mean, she's doing fantastic. Everybody can do that. Go to the steps in your house. Step up on the steps. I mean, there's your plyo box. You know, so you can apply those types of things that we're doing in our workout at home. Maybe you have a plyo box or some box you can jump up on, right? But these are things that really produce high levels of heart rate and fitness.
What does whole grains do to the
What do whole grains do to well, that's it. So you have to look and see if it's a whole grain, it's going to be a better choice, right? Because you're going to have the fiber, you're going to have the protein, but you're still going to have majority is going to be sugar. So even though it takes a little bit longer to break that down because of the fiber, you're still going to be left with a lot of sugar. So when you see, it'll say on the box like refined grains or whatever, but sometimes on the label it'll say wheat, and then later it'll say whole grains added, or whole grains will be all the way at the bottom, which is a very small amount. So you have to look at the label and be able to identify, is this a whole grain or is whole grain added? But it's still, it's like, you know, people ask me, what about wheat bread or whole grain bread? It's still bread. It's still going to have the same impact, but it might not take as much. It might not affect your blood glucose as much as a refined grain, but it's still going to have the qualities and the glutens and the anti-nutrient, you know, the glutens and the phytic acid that any other grain would have.
We used to, having bread all the time, I do the lettuce wrap around your sandwiches and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you can get creative with things. You know, Ezekiel bread is going to be a better choice if you just have to have bread. Doesn't taste that much different. I buy the cinnamon raisin, and my son, he's the only one that really has a sandwich every once in a while. He'll have almond butter and jelly, and you know, you put a banana on that, toast it with a little bit of butter. Ooh, it's good. But you know, it's a better choice. It's sprouted.
So you would mention olive oil.
Hmm. Yeah, you don't want to cook with olive oil. The only oil you want to cook with is a saturated fat because it doesn't break down. When you cook with an olive oil and you heat it up, it changes the molecular structure of the oil, and it actually becomes carcinogenic. It actually,
Roast vegetables.
Hmm?
Roasted vegetables. What do you
yeah, so I do that all the time. So what I do is and what I'm going to do too, and understand, I'm not putting myself on the World Wide Web just because of my ego, but I want to show you guys how easy it is. So I'm gonna do some videos of me cooking breakfast, dinner. I'm going to show you how fast it is and what you can do.
What kind of salad dressing? You know,
Salad dressing, it's good because you're not heating it, so it's actually very healthy. But like when I cook my salmon, I'll put about 2 tablespoons of coconut oil in there. So I get a nice little layer of liquid. Put my salmon in there. I'm flipping it around. I maybe put a little white wine vinegar. I put some spices and stuff like this. My vegetables, start them a little bit later. I put about a tablespoon and a half of olive oil. Nice little pool of fluid. Then coconut oil. What did I say? Coconut. I haven't eaten. I'm getting hungry. Of coconut oil, right? Let it move around, and then I put my vegetables and my cut up vegetables in there and mix them all up so I get oil all over them, and put a little pepper in there, a little bit of salt. It's okay. Salt is not bad, right? When you're doing it in the right amount. But put my spices in there, and so I cook it right in there. What I do is I put it on low and I put a top on, so I'm quasi steaming it, but in the oil, and it's so good when you eat it.
Yeah, we cook with coconut oil at home, and my husband's Italian, so he grew up with olive oil everything, and it tastes amazing.
Yeah, it doesn't have like a coconutty taste. It's coconut water. Yeah.
And cooking with coconut oil is not a big deal.
Yeah. It's good. It gives it a nice taste. Any other questions? Well, I hope this is helpful. I hope you're able to put into practice what we've talked about. Now, if you have any further questions, especially about the workouts and all, let me know. I put on here the 3 videos the nutritional videos that we've done in the past, because those are going to be very helpful in creating a foundation to apply what we did today. Okay, and that's why they're on there. So those are available for you. We'll leave them up here. You can take them on the way out. The app is on there. The only app I didn't put on there is the MyFitnessPal. But the app for the Tabata workouts is on there. If you have questions on how to apply it, or I'm a little overwhelmed, what do I do? How do I start? Just let me know. Just send me an email, and we'll certainly help guide you along. So I appreciate you being here, and I hope this was beneficial for you. Yes.
And I guess it's just government agencies and lobbyists and stuff.
Let me pause this before we talk.